Mohanad, that we are discussing under friends, yes, about the future of how to, what curriculum we want to have for imams in Switzerland, because we discussed already in the first part that imams in Switzerland can't be educated in Saudi Arabia or wherever else, and then come back here in a democracy and present theses that are not compatible with human rights and with the law here. So we are very happy to have you among us, Mohanad, today, because you have a big experience in that field, and you are teaching people who will also teach and who will be imam, if I understood you right. And I know that you teach in a very modern way, and that you teach an Islam that is perfectly compatible with human rights and with democratic values. And that means today we have really the honor and the chance to be with you and to ask you, how could you explain us how did your work exist, and how do you proceed, and what are the main lines in your teaching? What are the main lines, and what is your concept?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to tell you something about this. I'm sorry for my English, and I'm sorry for I can't speak French, so I'm sorry. But I think
no problem.
Okay, we will understand each other. So
yes.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. First of all, the difficulty we have in Germany, if we are talking about training imams, you can't train imams. Yeah, you can study Islamic theology at the university, and you have absolvents for Islamic theology. They can work as imams. The challenge is the Muslim organizations, mostly they are Turkish organizations. They don't want to have imams educated at public universities, because they have their own trainings programs, and they want the imams to be dependent from their agenda, from their political agenda, from their religious ideological agenda. So we can talk about training imams, but we have still the problem, who will take these imams and to say, okay, they can hold a speech at Friday, or they can work in the mosque. We have some mosques here, but only the little mosques. They say, okay, like mosques from Pakistan or some Arab mosques, they say, okay, we will take your imams, but 90% of the mosques in Germany, they are part of the big organizations, the Turkish organizations, or Central Rata Muslime. They are Muslim Brotherhood. This is we have four big institutions or organizations, DT, VIKZ, Milli Görüş, and they are Turkish. And this is interesting, three of them, they are the Hanafi school and Maturidi school. So if there are many schools in Islamic law or the Islamic, studies. So there is no difference between them if it's a question of understanding Islam. There are political difference between them. So these three organizations are political organizations. They are not religious organizations. The fourth one, Centrarat Muslim, they are the Muslim Brotherhood. They are more Arab mosques. The state, the German state, doesn't understand that if we have organizations of Islam, these are not representatives of the Muslims in Germany, but they
Yes, it's the same here in Switzerland. Yeah, same thing.
yeah, they say like the churches, they speak for Christian people. So we need representatives for Muslims, but we tell them Islam is not equal to Christianity. Islam doesn't have church, doesn't have this hierarchies and so on. Islam is more an individual religion, but they don't understand this, the state and the politicians. They say, but we need representatives of Muslims to speak with them. So they take the it's a question of how many mosques do you have? DTIP, this is the biggest one in
Yes.
yeah, they have 950 or 1,000 mosques, mostly the half of the mosques. So they say, wow, this is a huge organization. Okay, this is the main representatives of Muslims in Germany. So we will talk with DITIB, then with Milli Görüş, and so on and so on. The liberal ones are small. They have 2, 3, or 5 mosques, or the Sufi Islam, they have 1 or 2 mosques. Nobody speaks with them because they say, oh, they are not representatives for Muslims. But we have studies in Germany. These organizations, they are representative for only 15 to maximum 20% of the Muslims in Germany.
It's the exactly same thing in Switzerland. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. So 80% of the Muslims, they say we don't feel ourselves representative.
Yeah. Yeah.
This and this organization. So now we started 2012 with the Islamic theology at the university here in Münster, but 60 or 70% of our students, they become teachers for Islamic education and public schools, because Germany since 2012 they have they started with Islamic education at the public schools.
Pardon, il y a Jean-Claude Basset, je m'excuse.
Someone has come. Our friend Jean-Claude Basset has come. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, continue. Yeah.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Hello, bonjour. Okay, so okay, continue.
Yes.
So we started and 20-30% they study to become Islamic theologians. But we have in Münster here, it's the biggest center for Islamic theology in Germany. We have 700 students. Yeah, if you ask them, we ask them who wants to get an imam, who wants to be imam. From the 700, 2% say maybe
okay.
imam, because be imam, it's not attractive for young people. Why should I study 5 years, 3 years bachelor, 2 years master, 5 years to get an imam? I can do something else.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. More money, more. Yeah. It's not attractive, this job, becoming imam. And the organizations, as I told you, they say, if you study in Münster Islamic theology, we don't take you as imam, because we have our education very, very conservative, or Milli Görüş is fundamentalistic.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, anti-Semitism and so on.
Yeah, it's like Muslim Brotherhood. Yeah.
Yes.
From Turkey. Yeah.
So and you asked me now, because so I understand you are going to make a curriculum or something like that to train imams. I just wanted, first of all, to say the conditions to train imams in Europe, in Germany, are still not the right conditions we need. You still have this fundamentalistic organizations, DTIP and Milikurush and so on, so on, so on. 80% of the mosques are very, very conservative and so on. These are the challenges we are dealing with all the time. But we want to do something for the future. If we say, okay, it's we have only fundamentalistic organizations and so on, we will don't do make steps.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have to see the future and the youth, the young people. More and more young people say we don't want to go to the traditional mosques. We need alternatives. The challenge here with alternatives, they need money. So if I want
Yes.
a mosque, I am not DTIP, I don't have state, I don't, and the German state says we are secular, we don't give money to imams, we don't give money to the mosques, but we don't want imams from abroad. We don't want to finance imams from Turkey, but we don't have solutions. This is,
Yeah, it's like a blockade. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, this is it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But if we want to train imams, it's very important so that the imams, to be a modern imam, you have to talk not only the language, I mean German or English or French, the culture language, to understand the youth, the young people, what are they thinking about? What questions do they have, and what answers do they need to become European and Muslim at the same time? Not am I European or am I a Muslim? And be Muslim and European at the same time. So we have big challenges because how we can deal with the Quran, how we can deal with the Sunnah of the Prophet, how we can deal with the Islamic law, and so on and so on. We need new interpretations of all of this. This is what we call European Islam. So and it is very important for us training these people, also training the students becoming teachers for Islamic education at public schools, to be authentical, to not to say the European state or the German state want from us to interpret Islam like this or that way. No, the Islam from itself wants us to read it like this or like that way. I always remembering the young people, Al-Shafi'i, one of the four Sunnah schools.
Yes.
In Islam, you know, Al-Shafi'i, he wrote his book Al-Risala in Iraq, and after 10 years he went to Egypt, and after 10 years in Egypt he said, no, my book is only for Iraq, but in between there is 10 years, I have to write it another time. And he wrote everything new, and he said the context is other context in Egypt. So I always remembering our people after 1,200 years from Shafi'i until now, he lived in the 9th century until now. If Shafi'i is living today in Europe, he will say, are you crazy? You still reading my books? After 10 years, I wrote the book new. So it's important here to say, okay, if we need a curriculum, we need the basics. So we need the Quran, we need the Sunnah, Islamic law, and so on and so on. But we need a new interpretations for all of this. How to read the Quran in the historical context. This is what we are doing here in Münster, to say, okay, the Quran is there is in the chapter 4:34 talking about women, talking about punishing women, talking about patriarchal view of the relationship between man and woman. But these are only the Quran is talking about the situation in the 7th century. These are not, this is not what the Quran accepting from us today. So we have to put this in the 7th century and to keep it in the 7th century, and to ask if the Quran is speaking to us today in the in a society, in a pluralism society, in a society of equal rights between men and women. He will talk about equal rights and this and that. So we are trying to put some things in the history, and to keep it there in the history, and to ask ourselves, how can we interpret the Quran today, from our view today, and to legitimize a democratic reading of or understanding of Islam from the Islam itself, from the Quran, also from the Sunnah. With the Sunnah, we have more problems as with the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say, yeah, if the Quran says to Muhammad, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, we sent you only mercy for all humankind. Okay, to take this a key to understand every other things, because this is what the Quran telling Muhammad, what you are going to do here. You have to keep mercy. So the same person will not say kill others, or
Others, yeah.
yeah. So with this key, we can take maybe 80% of the Sunnah and say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this we
Yeah.
don't need. I don't.
But you will have, of course, voices that contradict you,
Yeah.
because in the Quran itself we have contradictions. We have things that contradict others. Yeah.
Yes.
And so everyone can find arguments
Yes.
for his view of the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone can take the arguments that are closer to his thought and use them. And this is also a problem of the text. And that's why I would like to ask you, do you, in your work as teacher, do you, as professor, do you also talk about the fact that this book is sacralized, yeah?
Yeah.
But we should do a text analysis.
Yes.
And
yes.
that means that we must desacralize the texts and talk to the text as human beings
Yes.
of the 21st century.
Yes, this is very important what you are saying, Saida, so that we don't read the Quran as an imperative, do this and that.
Mm-hmm.
The Quran is reflecting the situation in the 7th century. So if he's speaking about, if it's speaking about violence against people, it's describing the situation in the 7th century, but it doesn't have any normative power for me today. It's not telling me do this today, or it's describing a situation in the 7th century. This is what I meant. This is the method how we read the Quran, to say, okay, there is some keys in the Quran. If the Quran is speaking about mercy, if the Quran is speaking about justice, these keys, okay, they are ahistorical, so universal attitudes, or principles of the Quran. But if he is talking about this or that situation, it's only about the situation. I give you an example. In the 9th surah, verse 30, he's saying, وقالت اليهود عزير ابن الله. The Jewish says Uzair, Ezra, is the son of God. I ask my students, okay, the Quran is saying Jewish have a son of God. Do you know any Jewish people telling this in the history or today? They say, no, never heard about something like that. Okay, the Quran is telling this. We read together what At-Tabari, this famous exegete, telling about this. He's writing, there were 5 people discussing with Muhammad and telling them Israel is the son of God and we are Jewish. So it's some 5 people thinking we are Jewish and we think we believe on a son of God. But the Quran is not telling us it's only about 5 people. It says وقالت اليهود, the Jewish people say this and that. That means if the Quran is speaking, he's speaking about the Jewish in this situation, in this mainly only in this situation. So the same if the Quran telling something about اقتلوهم حيث ثقفتهم, make war or make this or that, he's talking about some special situation at this or that time. So my method is to say we have to make hierarchical in the verses of Quran. Some verses are universals if they are talking about ethics, if they talking about the mercy of God, if they talking about justice, okay, and there is but the specific situations telling this and that specific. So these are not universal verses in Quran. The same, you have the same with the Bible. You have violence in the Bible. You have patriarchal stories in the Bible. But I don't know any Christian theologians telling these are normative for us today to make violence today or to punish children or punish women as in the Old Testament. Nobody say this. But we in the Muslim world, we still read the Quran. Every word, it's like it's in the Quran. And some of my students, if they argue, I tell them, okay, then let us read the Quran, the surah. I think 16 verse 8, it's talking about God made you donkeys and horses to come from A to B, and it's beautiful to use them. والخيل والحمير والبغال لتركبوها وزينة. زينة, it's beautiful, it's okay to. And they tell them, okay, then why do you come with the car or why do you come with the bicycle? The Quran is not telling about cars and bicycles. It tells come with a donkey, and if you want to, to take your wife or your girlfriend somewhere, the Quran is saying wazina. It's beautiful to on a donkey. So go and make your appointment with your girlfriend the donkey. Why not? The Quran is telling us, and they say no. These are the Quran is telling us what the people used in the 7th century. Okay. There were no cars and bicycles. I tell them, okay, and in the 7th century, the people didn't say anything about human rights and about democracy and equal rights. It's the same. Why, if it's about transportation, you say, no, this is only the transportations, what they used in the 7th century, but we use today cars and bicycles and airplanes and so on. Why don't you say the same if it is about equal rights, if it's about democracy, if it's about humankind, humanity? You can say the same. The Quran is speaking about from the context, in the context of the 7th century. So think about it. And if you argue a lot of them, so you can move something in their minds. Experience I make, if they come from the mosques, if they have their socialization in Miligurish, so it's more difficult.
Yes.
As if they come as Muslims, but they don't have Islamic education before. They are open-minded. But if they ideological, everything is closed.
Close, yeah.
It's difficult. But I make the experience, it's very important to argue from inside the Islamic system, not from outside, not to say they want us to see this and that in Islam. And there is a lot of examples in the Islamic tradition. Ibn Taymiyyah himself said, and he wrote this, and you can read it. If a woman can read the Quran, can recite the Quran, why not to be an imam also in Ramadan, in the Taraweeh prayers in Ramadan for the men? Ibn Taymiyyah write about this. Ibn Taymiyyah said, if the hell, it's not eternity, it's not for all time, because God is mercy. Sometime all people, Muslims and not Muslims, will be in paradise. This wrote Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, but our people, they don't show us these things. But I am always looking for these things, and we read it with students and tell them, look, it's not the European state want us to understand Islamic at this way, at this open-minded pluralism way, equal rights for men and women. No, Ibn Taymiyyah taught this and that, and this scholar and that scholar. It's a part of the Islamic tradition. So this is very necessary if you're making imam training, or to argue from inside the Islamic system. So you are authentically, and they don't, I know the organizations and a lot of Muslims, maybe at the first reaction will not be very optimistic, but maybe the second or the third or the fourth step, they will say, okay, we start.
Yes, they will accept it better because it comes from within.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I make the experience, it's not enough to criticize, to say Salafi is bad and Miligulush is bad. So the young people, they say, okay, I understand this is bad, but where is your alternative?
Yeah.
In curriculum for imam training, so must have alternatives. What how could we understand Islam today? How could we understand Islam in a pluralism society, in the pluralistic society? This is very important, also to give the alternatives for the young people, not only to say this and that is bad, but okay, how can we understand?
What do you offer them? Yeah.
Yes, this is very, very important. I don't know. I don't know about your project. Are you going to make a curriculum at the university and train imams, or you still in the first step thinking about it and making a concept, hoping you can use it someday, or is there something concrete you are doing so you will reach imams in Switzerland?
I will give your question to Sami to answer you. Okay, Sami? We don't hear you.
Okay. I closed my microphone so I could hear very well our friend Mohanad. Thank you, Mohanad, for your explanation. Really very interesting. Now, in Switzerland, we have this question. Should we train imams in Switzerland? Should we open, for example, a faculty of Islamic law, as we have for Catholics or for Protestants? Or should we take imams from outside? And there is an institute in Freiburg which says, in fact, if we train imams in Switzerland, they will not be accepted by the community. So it is better to have them from outside. Now the question is, we are thinking about that. Now we don't know what we should do with that, because this is Institute of the University of Fribourg is pushing for having imams from outside. And we say, really, we cannot accept imams from Egypt or Saudi Arabia or Morocco or Turkey or so on. Certainly, we cannot refuse imams if they are already working as imams, but we should prepare a new generation of imams who are trained in Switzerland according to Swiss mentality, Swiss law, respecting democratic principles. This is what we are thinking about. So if we have to confront the position of the Institute of Fribourg, we should first know what is happening in Germany, how it works. And maybe next step, we may contact politicians, parliamentary members, so we could make concrete proposition. Now, if we are saying, okay, we should have a faculty, theology faculty for Muslims, who will pay for that? Who should write the curriculum? Who will teach? Should we invite professors from Saudi Arabia to teach, or from Egypt or Azhar and so on, or Tunisia or Morocco? And to what extent can we have control on them? To what extent we can have control on them? Because really we don't rely on them. We are not very confident on what they are learning, teaching. We know the situation in those countries, how catastrophic the situation in Egypt with Al-Azhar and so on. We don't like to duplicate the system, the Egyptian system and the Egyptian mentality here in Switzerland. So this is why we invited you to hear. What do you think about that? What curriculum vitae, curriculum or courses we should recommend? And how could we prepare a new generation? Because if we have faculties and faculty of theology in Lausanne, with our friend Jean-Claude Passé, who was professor there, where do we find professors? Where do we find professors? In Fribourg, we have a great problem because almost all are imported from Germany. Almost all the professors or assistants are imported from Germany. The head is German. Okay.
Hans-Jörg Schmid
Yes.
Und Emir Nziri.
Yes, but really the others are Muslim brothers. This is the situation. And really we don't have a control over what they are teaching. We are not. They are coming with propositions, and we should say here that the Federal Commission against racism and discrimination has members from the Muslim Brothers. The commission itself, and it is always critical against position of Swiss people towards Islam, but they never speak about Islamic norms which are against Swiss law. So it is unilateral, always unilateral. All the writings of the commission are unilateral. They are just seeing bad things in Switzerland towards Muslims. Nobody speaks about Islamic norms as apostasy, about mixed marriages between Muslim women and men, and other questions which are critical. which are critical. So this is the context to explain to you why we invited you to here, because we don't live in Germany and you have your own experience.
You know, if you allowed me a suggestion
Yes.
to make, um, um, if I am you, I will start step by step. If you are thinking about Islamic theology in faculty, it's a huge idea. And I don't know if it's realistic at this point of time. Why not to start with something we call here Weiterbildung, so continuing education, the imams in the practice, to say we can make a courses to give you a certificate from a university. We started like this here in Münster. We said, okay, DTIP and the others, they don't want to make the imam education at the university, but we told them, okay, bring your imams only to make some courses, and we give them something from the university. It's a certificate. So after 1 year, and 1 year is only, I think, 6 or 7 weeks in this year they are studying. So it's not really the whole program. It's not really to study Islamic theology, but to study something about the society, because they will not accept all what I told you until now. They will not accept I am telling the imams from Turkey about how to deal with Quran or something like that. They will don't accept this. But if I tell them, I want to tell you something about the society, the young people, the young Muslims, how they are thinking, which questions they have, questions about democracy, about equal rights, about homosexuality, about marrying not Muslims, Muslim women from not Muslim men, and so on and so on. These are the questions a lot of you young people is questioning, and let us discuss about these and that, so they become slowly involved in the society, because the most of the imams, they live in their
Bubble.
yeah, and they don't know the questions of the young people. So why not to make something like that? If you tell the politicians, we don't want to make theology, we want to make something like social education, political and social education for imams. A lot of politicals will say, oh, this is a good idea, why not? The imams will be confronted with democratic values, with human rights. Why not to do something like that? To start the first step with some courses like this, maybe in a cooperation with Freiburg, or because they have the institution. You don't have to start from zero, or Louisiana. I think you have something equal Islamic studies or something like that. Look, where is do you have a university? You have Islamic studies, so you don't start from zero. And to say we only want to make some courses for imams. So you start with the first step. So you have connection with mosques, with imams, and telling them, we don't want to tell you how to read the Quran now, but we want to talk about democracy and this and that. The first step. Maybe it's more realistic to start this so small, and to begin to become bigger. Then if you say we want now to make a concept for an faculty for Islamic theology, because as you said, where are the people, the professors and this and that? But if you start small with some people you trust, it's maybe these people will come in the next generation, or sometime somehow they will be the professors or something like that. But I think it's important to start small than to come bigger. I don't know what to say about this.
Okay. Then you say about formation continue, as we call it here in Switzerland.
Yes. For those, they are in the practice, they are now in the they are working like imams.
Yes, we have many universities giving formation continue. Yes, that's okay. Okay, so it's a good idea what you are saying. So if we are confronted with this subject, we will say the problem that we have really is the Institute of Freiburg is manipulated by Muslim brothers, I will say.
Oh.
This is what I think. All the personnel teaching there, the Muslim personnel, is from the Muslim brothers.
Do you know Amir Jiri? Did you speak with him?
No, but do you know him?
He was my student. He was my student.
He was, yes.
And I know he is open-minded, but he is very shy. So he is not a person of confrontation. So maybe this way. But he's open-minded, but you have to talk with him because maybe he will not say some things in public, but he will tell you these things if you are talking with him. So not in public. I think you can cooperate with him.
Excellent. Thank you for telling us this information. If he is your student, we can be confident on him. It is a positive. Yes.
Amar, you wanted to say something?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Oui, si je peux parler en français parce que l'anglais c'est difficile pour moi.
Oui, on va traduire. Parle.
Avec Christian, on a eu une discussion avec Mallory Schnolli-Perdi et puis Ziri. Et dans la discussion...
Yes, Amar says, Mohammed, that he has already talked with Ziri, with a woman we all know here in Switzerland. Her name is Schneuvli de Pury. She's active also for this Center of Islam and Society in Fribourg.
Saida, please remember him. We are recording, so Amir maybe see all what we are talking about.
Yes, certainly.
Okay, maybe we can take this away, Sami.
No, we can keep it. So just we have to control what we are saying. Yes.
Okay.
We have to be,
so,
yes.
Amar, I give you back the word.
Oui.
Amar, tu dis une phrase et elle traduit en anglais. Parce que tu fais long, on n'arrive pas.
D'accord. Alors,
Saïda,
voilà.
si tu veux, je peux traduire.
Oui, vas-y, Christian, vas-y.
Alors, tu te rappelles, Christian, pendant la discussion, je citais les versets qui posent problème parce que Mallory Schnolli-Perdi disait dans des émissions de la télévision qu'il n'y avait aucun verset qui posait problème.
Okay, just a second. So
mais il m'a semblé, excuse-moi, que...
Non,
Attends, Amar, il veut traduire.
Une phrase après l'autre, tu ne peux pas faire tout un discours.
Oui, okay. So in our conversation with Ziri, Amar quoted some Quranic verses which were problematic. And the answer we received from the woman who was in the office with Amar Ziri said, no, there are no problem with the verses in the Quran.
Alors, quand je leur ai cité les versets, et je citais pour Ziri les versets en arabe, il m'a semblé qu'il ne connaissait pas le Coran.
Okay, so when Amar quoted the verses in Arabic, Amir Ziri seemed not to understand the verses in Arabic.
Ouais. Il m'a semblé qu'il ne mémorise pas le Coran, qu'il ne connaît pas.
So according to Amar, Amir Ziri never memorized the Quran.
Qu'est-ce qu'il pense de ça?
What do you think about that, you who know him?
I thought, okay, nobody memorized all the Quran, so from the university professors, but I think Amir, I talked several times with him in Arabic, so I can imagine he will understand if he is reading Quran, but he specialized in the Islamic history. He's not an exegete. He's not. He didn't work with the Quran itself. It is working, but at the other side, if I know him, if you ask him about Islam and equal rights of men and women, Islam and democracy, Islam, I think he's very open-minded in this world, and he's criticizing Muslim Brotherhood and this and that. But I know him. He's very shy. So if there is some people working there, have more power, have more, so they will dominate maybe the institute. I can't say this.
Do you? I'm sorry, I have a personal question. Do you know Hans-Jörg Schmidt?
Yes, I know Hans-Jörg Schmidt.
Okay. Was he one of your students?
No.
Yeah.
He made his degree at the Christian theology.
Hohenheim, oder?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's making more the organization things in Freiburg. He's more for the organization, and Ziri more what they are making insights. But I know something, they don't have a lot of students, and they only have master class, so they don't have really to the opportunity to study Islam from zero, to go and to make a bachelor or baccalaureate. So you make only master. So he told me there's a lot of people not coming with the background Islamic studies, so they don't have a lot of opportunities to change something or to move something, because a lot of students are older from the age and to study something to make master. These are challenges, really big challenges in Freiburg.
Parce que malheureusement, sur les médias, ils se présentent comme des spécialistes du Coran.
Okay, unfortunately.
On pense qu'ils maîtrisent, et puis c'est difficile de constater qu'en fait, ils ne connaissent pas.
Okay, so Amar is saying that on the media, Amir Ziri or Mallory Purdi present themselves as big specialists of the Quran, but it's very hard to believe that because at least for Mallory Purdi, she probably doesn't really know the text of the Quran herself.
Right.
Okay.
But
But
the Swiss people, it's not correct.
yes. But you know, sometimes I can't say anything about this, but because sometimes the media make from them experts. As here, they speak with somebody and you read, the Islamic expert so and so he told.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So.
But what's important is to make some ideas for about this Imam training. I think it's really important how we can change some things in the mosques. Maybe you can start also it's only an idea to make a study about the how do you call it, the khutbas, the preachers in the
yes, the preachers. Yeah.
So you see, what are they talking about, the Imams? Maybe if we start like this to say we have here and there and here some problems, look what the Imams are telling, so we have to do something. I think we need politician pressure if there is problems, because policy make reaction of pressure at media. Unfortunately, they don't.
Yes, but you know, we have the situation in Switzerland, and I think it's in other countries the same thing. We, from time to time, we hear something radical from a preach in a mosque, then we have a problem and media write about it, and politician doesn't do anything, and then everyone forgets it. And 2-3 months later, we have again a scandal because of a preach, and there is all of us, we talk about it, but I have the feeling the politicians don't really want to go into the ground of the problem and change things, because this is a lot of work, and they don't want too much work.
Yes, and
that's my experience, because I already talked to many politicians, really many, from all political parties. And I know what is going on in the mosques. I wrote a book about it some years ago. And every politician is not that interested to really look at the problem in a big way. You see, they just say, okay, this one is a Hassprediger, he preaches hate, so we will put him to trial and so on, or he will leave the country. But you don't really, it's not the solution. It's not a big solution. It's only a small thing. And we have never had a discussion, open democratic discussion about what is preached in mosques in Switzerland. You know better than me, Mohammed, all the Turkish preaches come from Ankara. All the preaches of Friday come from Ankara. And Ankara has other interests than we in Switzerland. They don't want the Muslim population to be integrated here. They want them to be connected to Turkey, and they want them to keep on being Turkish, and have a life Turkish, Islamic, and so on. And that is something that creates a lot of problems. And sometimes I also talked to a politician and asked him if there are some accords between Switzerland and Turkey. Are there some accords because of the mosques? I would love to see these accords, to read what did they agree about. I would love to see that and to understand what did they agree, because the situation is really blocked and there is no new movement in it, you see?
Yes.
I may say something here. You know, we have 7 law faculties in Switzerland. Nobody teach them Islamic law. They have no idea what is Islamic law. They don't have even 1 hour course on Islamic law. And all these beautiful people, lawyers and so on, they become politicians, they go to the parliament, or they become journalists and so, but they have no idea at all about Islam, you know. And this is a great problem. If you like to speak to them about Islam, but they never studied it. They have don't have any idea about Islam, just what is written in the newspapers. And and so you cannot have really a discussion with ignorant politicians. And this is a problem. You see, I proposed once to the Faculty of Law in Geneva to give them a course on Usul al-Sharia. I taught Usul al-Sharia in many universities in Italy, France, and Switzerland. And I said, okay, I am ready to give them a course, even free. They told me, our program is very charged. We don't have time for that. And second, we cannot engage you as a professor without paying you. So we don't like.
Tell them, say they should pay you.
and they are not ready to pay me, and they don't have time to teach their students. And once they are lawyers and so on, they are really ignorant of the situation. So
yes,
they don't see the problems. They don't see the problem. Now, just to tell you the information that I am giving once a week in the morning and in the evening a course on Usul al-Sharia. In the morning in French and in the evening in Arabic. Usul al-Sharia. So I said, okay, this is open university. This is a free of charge university. Maybe somebody may hear it and be interested on that topic. So for you, I will send you my book in English, Usul al-Sharia, about 500 pages. So it exists also in Italian and in French. So there is another book, but it is in Italian and in French only, Introduction to Arabic Law. I will send you some of my documents, and you can download them free of charge, even in German. So maybe they could be good for you. Okay, so we don't hear our friend Basset, Jean-Claude Basset. What does he say?
he's talking.
Open the microphone.
Yeah, thank you for this exchange. I really appreciate what we heard about the situation in Germany, because I have a problem when we say we don't have the politician we need. Okay, I agree, but it is just a fact of our society. Now, when we speak of the Imam, and I was impressed saying that among the people trained in the program Mu'ana, only 2 had the idea to become Imam. I don't think we can really decide who will be the proper Imam, because we are in a changing society. The population, the Muslims who live now in Europe, they have to adapt. And I already said that we need to give time to time. The change, the reaction. So actually, the Imam we have, more or less, they answer to those who go. And we know that not all the Muslims go to the mosque. Now, for me, the issue of the religious freedom we must keep it. And I really I would agree that the state make a program, as it was said, in terms of theology, in terms of the Quran. And by the way, the specialist of Quran is not what the people need actually now. They need to adapt to the society. And for that, the formation continue, very much in the line of what is done in Fribourg. I think it's quite close to what is being presented in Germany. And so I remain with my question last time, what is going on in France? What is going on in Italy? And then maybe we can come with some proposal. But thank you very much for the presentation, which was very clear. And of course, we would like this evolution to be done sooner than later, but at the same time, we cannot force on it. And there is an adequation, basic agreement. Those Muslims who want to receive something that they had from the past, from where they come from. Just another point, be careful when you say that all the people in Fribourg are Muslim brethren, because that's not true. But of course, there is a real challenge, and this challenge is in our society. So I don't minimize the problem ahead, but I don't think we can, in a realistic way, decide no, the state will not be ready to pay. And the mood now is to take more distance even the Faculty of Theology. It's not as it was 50 years ago, both on the Catholic side, Protestant, and maybe, I'm sure, others. But thank you very much for sharing. I mean, this is really important point, and good that we can talk about it.
I am really also happy to have to hear our friend Mohanad Khurshid, and if he likes to join our group whenever we make another meeting, and we should look for an expert or somebody who knows about this question in France and in Italy, what really they are doing. I don't know who can we contact. Maybe we can contact l'Institut de Paris. They have their own faculty of Islam, or Imam, and see what they are proposing. Do you have contact with them, Saida?
No, not directly, but I think it's easy to get in touch with them.
Okay. Or maybe also we can contact Moazzi, Emir Moazzi, Le Coran des Historiens. Maybe he has an idea.
Yes, maybe.
So I wrote to him once or two, so I can invite him to a meeting with us, and to propose a person who can speak about that. In Italy, maybe I can find somebody in Torino. I had contact, or in Pisai in Rome, the Islamic and Arabic Studies Institute, where I gave a conference once. I know them very well. So I may contact them and ask them, how does it work? Is there anybody who can come and speak to us to share our experience?
Yes, that would be great to have someone from Italy, someone from France, and Mohanad, I thought, and make a meeting with all of them and understand what are the differences in the different countries and how do others deal with that problem. We can learn from each other that way.
Maybe Mohanad also knows what is happening in Austria, because he studied in Austria, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe you have an experience, or you know somebody in Austria who can tell us what is their experience in that that country.
Yeah.
So
I can see the 2-3 names of people.
We could ask Ednan Aslan. He's professor at the university in Vienna. We know him, Mohanad and me, we know him well. And so we could make a very interesting meeting, you know, to see, to have a big image. Yes, an image over Europe a little bit, and see how others deal with the problem.
Okay, and this was about Imam. I hope that we will have another meeting, because we don't like to take all the time of our friend Mohanad. Next time maybe we can speak about should we teach Islam in the schools? Because Switzerland and Jean-Claude Passet had experience about religious education in the schools with Agora. The group Agora, what they are teaching in this. So I can say I did 3 registration about religious education in Switzerland in Arabic, because people ask me how they are teaching religion. So about 6 hours registration. So maybe Mohanad may be interested on that, as he understands Arabic. So maybe Ammar and Saida can keep contact with our friend Mohanad and see what we can say in next meeting. If
yes, you also, Sami, you also can keep in touch with Mohanad. And
okay.
of course, and we can see what can we do in the next meeting with 2 or 3 other persons who have also experience in that field, and yes, and we will learn.
Now, Saeed, you are guiding the discussion. Maybe we should put an end to it.
Okay.
Your
so
work.
as the guide of the discussion, I thank every one of you for his contribution. I thank you very much for your time, and I hope we meet soon again. Thank you very much, and have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening. مع السلامة. مع السلامة. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Thank you. Ammar, end the registration.